Welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash, this is Ash Quest, and today I wanted to kind of make a reactionary video, something a little bit more topical related to yesterday's video concerning against the Ogre Horde and its incoming inevitable quest pack. Somebody might be forgiven for taking a look at the scant images we have online and the narrow bits of data and piecing them together and questioning their legitimacy. That's actually something that I haven't seen a lot of people do, and it can be a little surprising to see that there aren't a lot of people questioning this unless we do take a closer look at all of the elements within. We take a look at the facts that we do have so far and we delve into this. So I will apologize a little bit for the clickbaity type thumbnail and title of the video. However, that is the subject matter that we're going to tackle today, and this will be a bit of a shorter video just doing exactly that. The images that we see are images that were posted on the eBay listing that was for this supposed Against the Ogre Horde expansion game that was won by another eBayer, a well-known member of the HeroQuest communities, and then subsequently pulled. The buyer was actually refunded and the seller could not go through with the sale. And that kind of adds a little bit of suspicion and doubt as to whether the box that we're seeing here is a legitimate back of an actual product box. After all, if somebody were selling this, would they really have signed the necessary disclosure agreements or none thereof to actually be held liable for not selling it or for selling it if they were agreeing to not sell it? That's kind of what we're going to look at here today. We have the images and we're able to zoom in somewhat far. I'll actually use my video processing in post-process to kind of take this and zoom it in farther than I'm actually looking at it now. So forgive me for jumping around just a little bit between the two. The front of the box is not questionable in my mind. It's been revealed at Lucca in Italy last year. We know that we're getting Against the Ogre Horde, at least as much as we can know that we're getting an item in this crazy world of last-minute cancellations and IPs exchanging hands. So the front of the box very closely matches what we saw revealed at Lucca in Italy. And even if it didn't, that wouldn't really be surprising, considering that a lot of the times boxes that are given to people to reveal at events are prototypical. They aren't exactly like the alpha versions of those boxes, but they still kind of carry inherently the disclaimer that the contents of what we see are subject to change. And that really doesn't change for me. Even seeing these images, this looks like it could be very much the thing that we're going to see at retail, but it absolutely would not surprise me at all to see subtle or minor changes, because this could still be something that was provided to the seller, the individual in this case, as an early access product. There have been cases where design components have gone through a multitude of changes before they hit their retail state, and we even have several documented cases of things being changed after they hit the retail state in newer editions because of errata needing to be included or sculpts simply needing to be changed for whatever reason. So without further ado, let's take a look at the individual elements of this box and see if we can't question the legitimacy ourselves. Well, the existence of the box itself is something that makes me doubt that there is any foul play going on here. Somebody would really have to put a lot of work into crafting a box that looks like, for all intents and purposes, it is the same scale, the same size as a regular HeroQuest expansion box, something that follows the sizing conventions fairly well and follows the design convention on the front of the box fairly well. They would have to craft an extremely high resolution image to be able to print at an extremely high DPI the image that we're seeing here. It doesn't look pixelated. It doesn't look artifacted in the slightest. It doesn't look as if it was blown up. And the image itself doesn't look as if it were post-processed. There are some of us that have a little bit more of an eye for trying to find things that were made with things like different AI softwares in order to be able to suss out whether something was assisted with AI technology. And as one of those folks, I'm just not seeing that here with this front image. I'm not seeing it with the back image either. I would definitely blame this person's camera being a little bit shaky for any blurriness that I see. I don't doubt that this is real myself, but let's take a closer look. The only real design convention that has somewhat changed between this and past back of the boxes for HeroQuest expansions seems to be the inclusion of the box itself. We usually don't see photographs of the box on the back of HeroQuest expansion boxes. However, let me tell you, or rather show you, what we do see. Now, when I got my Keller's Keep and Return of the Witch Lord, they were the editions that came with the Mythic tier, and there have been re-released editions since, singular, not plural, where there were subtle, very, very minor changes made to the design of some of the components, and mainly that has to do with the Avalon Hill logo changing. My camera, once again, is just going to refuse to show any of this. Wow. Here we go. Here we go. You can kind of see it, though. On the back of the Keller's Keep and Return of the Witch Lord first edition quest packs, we do have the scroll here, this page on the upper right-hand corner. It's coming in at an angle. It is giving us the pretext for the expansion. We have the HeroQuest logo and the name of the expansion just under the logo. Here in the upper left-hand corner, we have a diorama against a sort of brick background showing the tiles and the miniatures and the quest book standing upright. In fact, the only difference between this and past releases is the inclusion of this box here. And it looks like it is the same box, which that would be pretty easy to shrink down and place on there if you were skilled at Photoshop. However, Rise of the Dreadmoon breaks that convention. It breaks the convention in that we kind of lose that split between the upper and lower halves. Indeed, Mage of the Mirror and the Frozen Horror follow this newer convention, whereby the elements are shown in sort of a blank or only subtly designed or lit background, and all of the miniatures are shown in greater detail in the lower half of the box. We are definitely seeing that here. Now, for somebody to actually try to fake this, knowing full well that this expansion is imminent, it is coming out just in a matter of, at this point, I think we're still saying March, so literally weeks. They would have to fake quite a bit of what's here in order to create this image just in and of itself. And they would have to do that knowing full well that they weren't really going to gain any notoriety attached to their name. I still couldn't tell you who the seller was on eBay. The person who brought this to my attention was Sikasem Geekgon Giddy, and a variety of others, and I'll apologize if I didn't include you as one of the folks who brought this to my attention. There were a lot of people showing me this image. But the newer Avalon Hill and Hasbro logos in the bottom right follows design convention, as does the disclaimer here at the bottom, and requires the HeroQuest game system to play, sold separately. The font looks correct. Made in China, fabriqué in Chine is here as well, in both languages as it is on our current boxes. And of course, it wouldn't take a genius to look at the back of the current boxes and say, this is what I need to put if I'm going to fake this. But with only a little bit of time left before we actually get the real product, what kind of gain would an individual have to have? What kind of reward would drive them to produce this? 15 minutes of internet fame? I have no idea who the seller is. Could they really be beholden to a sort of friend DA saying, hey, you can't sell that because we gave that to you and you aren't allowed to sell it for a number of months? That is a real, actual agreement that you can come to, one that you can agree to in writing. In fact, my wife and I are members of the Amazon Vine program, and we can review items and be compensated by receiving those items free of charge. We're not allowed to sell them for 6 months after we receive them. So this is common practice. But I wanted to zoom in more and take a look at the miniatures. Now, if somebody were to fabricate this, they would have to painstakingly fabricate a large number of miniatures. And these are 2D pictures, but they're 2D pictures of 3D models. And I would have to say the only way they would really be able to do this is if they went and took existing 3D models to kind of paste in place. Now, this is a lot of work to get all of these scales just right and put them in a way that, frankly, is professionally designed. This is following all of the design conventions. The eye follows exactly where it needs to go to see everything in a very sellable way. The bases are all very clear. The sculpts are on point. There's a lot of detail in the sculpts that we would see only because we are able to link the motifs and the designs with things that we've seen revealed in the past. If somebody were to fake this, it would take a mega fan to be able to do all of this. Not just because the sculpts look incredibly realistic, but because they aesthetically follow the HeroQuest design very, very closely. Somebody would basically have to already be working at Avalon Hill and create this out of components that hit the cutting room floor to be able to fake it. So if asked myself why, I would just blindly accept that this is real and it's coming out rather than questioning its legitimacy because I don't have proof. I would have to respond because I, as a fellow academic, have the ability to think critically and accept that the likelihood of it being fake is so extremely low after applying all of this criteria that without proof of it being real or fake, because proof works both ways, it's funny like that, I can instead rely on the faith that it is going to come. It is real. It's actually kind of ironic that relying on faith to know that something's going to happen is kind of beyond the scope of the channel, but it's how a lot of the world works, strangely. Not being facetious here, I'm being real. The fact that we were shown this at Luca did not prove that it was coming out. It simply showed us that somebody had a copy of the game and they were able to legitimately claim that they received it from Avalon Hill and they were showing what the front of the box looked like. That was never actually a guarantee that it was coming out. And to kind of supplement what I'm trying to say here, the point that I'm trying to make, Mythic Games just sold $3.2 million worth of Kickstarter projects, just two of them, but they sold the IP to CMON. Mythic Games is not unsuccessful. They've actually created Kickstarted projects successfully in the past and have distributed them. Now, so has CMON, but why would these have failed suddenly? The fact that something was successfully funded and was going to be released from a reputable games publisher was not enough proof to prove that this was actually going to exist. I mean, thankfully, these two particular games, backers of Hell, The Last Saga, and Anastyr, which respectively raised 2.2 million and 1 million, more than 1 million from supporters, were the games affected by this. Those were the ones that were funded. They were going to come out as long as you can put your faith into those sorts of claims after things have been successfully funded, which when a games company has a reputation like Mythic, or like the reputation they had before this news article, you generally put faith into them fulfilling their end of the deal. With just not enough reason to really dig into this and question it any more than seeing all of the designed components, I don't have any reason to doubt the legitimacy of this product. So that's all. I really just wanted to kind of address a concern that was brought up about this possibly being something that was fabricated. And I have used a lot of my own words because I like to go down rabbit holes and rant and just kind of ramble. The things that I said weren't the same as the things that were said to me verbatim, but paraphrased. And then I tried to take things to the extreme just to kind of illustrate the points that I wanted to make. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, please check out some of the other videos on the channel and see if this is your cup of tea. I do a lot of HeroQuest content, a lot of editorial type content, unboxings, reviews, solo playthroughs, and the like. If you're already supporting the channel, thank you so much. Check out my Patreon, watch another video. Other than that, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day, and bye for now.